The Last Days of Troy, Homer's Iliad. Dramatised by Simon Armitage.
Photography is allowed, but please don't touch any of the stonework. The toilets are up to the left.
Bloody tourists. Sir, would you like to hear a story of Troy? Won't take a minute. Anybody? It was a 10-year conflict. A decade ago, leaders and warlords from almost every kingdom in Greece mobilised a task force of something like 100,000 men, sailed east, pitched camp on the shore and laid siege to the walled city of Troy on the far bank of the Scamander River. Motive, vengeance. Objective, return Helen to her rightful country and lawful husband. Progress thus far, nil. Current situation, stalemate, with neither Greeks nor Trojans prepared to surrender an inch of ground or contemplate defeat. On one side, under Agamemnon's command, conditions in the Greek base are squalid, and the morale of homesick and weary men impossible to judge. On the other side, resources are running low, and nerves are threadbare in King Priam's besieged citadel. It's hard to see this concluding without some all-out catastrophic battle, an endgame or finale, like a great storm that clears the air, and when it comes, may the gods have pity on those who hear its thunder. But until that time, dark clouds mass overhead. The immovable object holds firm against the irresistible force, and this terrible war drags on and on.
Odysseus, say something positive, or say nothing at all. Speak.
Agamemnon, my lord. Worse than yesterday. Disease, fever. First the dogs, now the horses. Open wounds to the flesh. Every morning it's as if a rain of arrows has fallen on the camp. The men, too. Blisters, sores, lethargy.
Belly aching, skiving.
It's genuine illness. I've looked in their eyes.
Homesickness and fatigue, whining and malingering. And you've fallen for it, Odysseus. You, of all people, wise and cunning.
It's correct that I know an untruth when I see one, Agamemnon, my lord.
See how they breeze in here unannounced? There's no discipline.
We agreed to an assembly to discuss this crisis.
I'll be the judge of that, Patroclus. There's no crisis, and there's no assembly. If you'll excuse me, I have battle plans to study, strategy, tactics.
It's a plague.
Achilles. Come straight to the point. Why bother constructing a case based on evidence and rational thought? Just blurt it out. Be my guest.
Listen to Achilles.
Gossip. Superstition. That's the only contagion around here. And now he's dignified it with a name and delivered it into my ears, hoping to infect me with it too.
Gossip never made a man cough up black blood or become a corpse in his bed overnight. We can't bury them fast enough. Some men are digging their own graves.
We've consulted Calchas.
Give me strength. That old fishwife.
He examined the entrails of a slaughtered goat.
Of course he did. How else to predict the future?
He's never been wrong.
He's never said a good word on my behalf. So, go on then. Tell me what the future holds according to the all-seeing, all-knowing visionary Calchas.
It's because of the girl you took, Agamemnon. The one with the dark skin. The priest's daughter. Every day he stands outside your tent offering treasure and ransom, begging for her return. But you flatly refuse him. You insult the priest of Apollo, so Apollo sends a plague, and won't relent until you give up the girl. That is the prophecy of Calchas.
He's a doom-monger. He loves it, like a dog rolling around in other dogs' shit. One day he's a dealer in hearsay, a tittle-tattler, the next he's a prophet for my whole army, telling me, Agamemnon, to give up what I want in battle. She's mine. In fact, I prefer her to my wife. Just as attractive, very skillful with her hands, if not more so. She's mine, by right.
Agamemnon.
No. If it soothes troubled minds and calms tender nerves, of course I can give her up. I'm capable of that.
Then it's settled.
But I demand another prize in her place. Otherwise I'll be the only one amongst us to have lost out, and where's the fairness in that?
Just do what the gods insist and give the girl back, and once we've conquered Troy, there'll be more treasure than even you can stuff into the lining of your coat.
Bring me something as compensation, or I'll take what I choose.
You arrogant pig.
Gentlemen, let's keep this dignified.
Why men fight for you, I've no idea. I've no quarrel with these Trojans. There's a wide sea and a tall mountain to keep us apart.
You're a mercenary. You'd start a fight in an empty field.
I sailed to Troy as a favor to you because your brother wasn't man enough for his own wife.
Abduction!
And while my brave Myrmidons fight your battles, you sit on your cushion behind, dividing the spoils of war, raking the lion's share into your own lap and throwing the loose change in the direction of others. I might as well set sail right now.
Well, go then! I need nothing from you. Especially not your jealousy and tantrums. And take your precious myrmidons with you. There'll be more respect without that mutinous provincial rabble, and less mouths to feed, and less grabbing hands when it comes to sharing out the rewards of victory.
You'll be obliterated in a week.
And another thing. The girl I've seen you with, the one with the pale cheeks.
Briseis belongs to Achilles. He won her in battle.
I'll take her as my prize, since you're robbing me of my own. Let it be known she's to become mine. Then no one will be in any doubt about who stands tallest among us, and even you might learn some respect. Soldier.
You're a mongrel-faced coward, and a drunk one at that.
You're a common murderer, a terrorist.
When he hears the battle cry, he pisses himself with fear.
The gods put a spear in his fist, and he's never been able to let it go.
Agamemnon, don't take the girl from him. You don't need her. And Achilles, you have a goddess for a mother. But Agamemnon, by the authority of Zeus, rules over many people. Honor him from that.
Those he rules over are blind or stupid. How else could they love such a sly, lumbering creature bloated by praise?
You'll learn some manners.
Your own army presents me with a girl, and now you scrounge her back. Let that be Agamemnon's way. But I'll take no more orders from you, and you'll take nothing else from me. Not a coin or a cup, not a grain or a grape. Come near me again, and I'll show every one of these Greeks that the blood of their great leader runs pink and thin.
Odysseus, tell every man to bathe and purify himself, and throw the dirty water in the sea. And have the whole camp tidied and swept till there isn't a flea still breathing. Once the vermin are cleared, sacrifice bulls and goats. Then you go to Achilles' tent, and you bring me the girl. If he refuses, go there with force. Have her dragged out, with him clinging to her ankles if that's what it takes.
Helen, so this is where you're hiding. Paris is looking for you.
Andromache. He knows where to find me.
Yes, always here in this room, always weaving. What is it anyway, some kind of map or story?
It speaks for itself, doesn't it?
Yes, it speaks like the woman who weaves it. But what does it say?
Greeks, here.
With their long hair and dark ships camped on the beach.
Trojans, here.
Glittering Troy.
And war, in between.
Is this me? It is me, isn't it? Holding my son Astyanax. And my husband Hector standing behind. Why is his sword drawn?
Protection. Love.
Ah, and none of your business, actually. But where are you in all this? Where's Helen?
It's unfinished.
Of course. How could it be complete without the most beautiful woman since the beginning of time?
So where would you position me?
If we Trojans win, you'll be here. A princess of Troy. My sister-in-law. Blowing kisses from the balcony onto the jubilant crowd below. If the Greeks triumph, you'll be over there. The rescued queen, carried home on a float, showered with jasmine and myrtle. Wearing my jewels, I suppose.
Was Paris really asking for me? Or is this you, out hunting?
I know exactly where you fit in. On the arm of whichever man gives the victory speech, and with a cemetery in the background. Damn wind.
I was a wife in Greece, now I am a wife in Troy.
You've been sleeping with men since the age of 10, that much is well known.
I was raped on a riverbank, there was no sleep.
You'll do anything a man asks, that's why they're all cuckoo
No
for
man
you.
has ever asked me for anything.
When you walk in a room, the men smell sex. The women smell death.
No. The women smell sex. That is why they detest me. The men smell death, and it smells exciting. Because it smells like war. They smell meat. Blood.
You bring out something bitter and vulgar in me.
You're a good woman, Andromache. Married to a good man. The tapestry says as much, doesn't it? Just frightened. Fear. That's your scent.
Ivory? Pearl? No, whiter than that. Whiter than white. There wasn't enough whiteness in the gnome world to stitch her into this scene, that's what they'll say. Not in the white as lead, not in sugar or chalk, not in moonlit water, in the crocus or the lily, in all the snow on the peak of Olympus. Delicate, brittle. White-faced Helen behind her white veil, wedded to Troy, wearing her wedding dress, or in mourning for Greece.
I come from Sparta, where the soil is red.
The soil is red wherever you walk, wherever you lie down. The family are waiting to eat. Go to the table. Sit at your husband's side.
Achilles, Odysseus approaches with armed men.
Let him in, Patroclus.
I'm embarrassed to be here.
It's your duty, Odysseus. I have no argument with you.
Your conversation with Agamemnon took a wrong turn. You both said things you didn't mean. This can be resolved.
Take her. Give her to him.
Achilles, there's no greater insult. If it were a gold crown or a silver necklace, that would be bad enough. But to take this woman who shares your bed, who I know you care for, and to think of his hands, and his greedy eyes, and his foul breath...
Enough, Patroclus. Take her, Odysseus. Now leave me.
Achilles!
Go! Everyone! My unearthly mother! Have I called on you once? In fury or agony, love or war? Have I ever begged? Have you ever heard a whispered appeal? A mumbled request? Not a word. Not one solitary word, because nothing was offered, so nothing was asked. But I ask now. Lay Agamemnon low. I was born for this battle, this war of all wars. Instead, I'm diminished, belittled, made small. He dishonors my name, drags it through foreign mud. And to blacken my name is to blacken yours, which is blasphemy, which is sacrilege. So breathe now in the ear of Zeus. Make the Greeks suffer, till the king of the Greeks comes crown in hand, on bended knee, groveling for help, kissing my feet. Punish Agamemnon, and love your son.
Rain here to swell the streams and nourish the vines. A warm wind here to dry the sails of the ships and the fishing nets. Thunderstorms here, here, and here. Let Zeus be heard. Snow to this peak, along this ridge. Snow to these mountain slopes. Mist over this plain. Dew on the leaves at dawn. A rainbow. A visitor. I see you, Thetis, in the corner of my eye. No hiding a woman's intention. You're here with a favor to ask.
Zeus, father of the skies, in action and in speech, haven't I always put you first?
It begins with a buttering up and sweet honey straight from the honeycomb. Then comes the knife.
Sir, honor my son Achilles. That's my request.
Well, I expected a little more honey than that, I have to say.
You know Achilles' fate as well as I do. To die young, an early death, have I ever pleaded otherwise? But why should he suffer while his life lasts? Agamemnon abuses and humiliates him, takes away his prize. It's a violation. So I ask, let the Trojans enjoy success in battle until the Greeks go to my son and beg him to come back.
Thetis, my dear Thetis.
Zeus, do I need to embarrass myself to get you to say yes?
I'll get grief for this. If my wife Hera sees us together, she already thinks I side with the Trojans and barks out her complaints in front of the other gods. But leave me now. I'll do what I can.
Do you bow your head, Zeus? Do you bow your head?
I saw that.
What did you see, Hera, my darling wife?
Scheming and conniving behind my back, hatching plots. Why am I never consulted?
Hera, I wouldn't trouble you with the burdens of my mind. It wouldn't be fair. And when Zeus does see fit to tell the world of his decisions, you're always the first to hear.
You paint me as the nagging spouse. You're the supreme god and you'll do whatever you like, that's understood. But when I see Thetis winding you round her little finger, it makes me think she's sweet-talked you into favouring her precious son Achilles and bringing hurt and degradation to the noble Greeks at the same time. Do I imagine correctly?
Your imagination is to be applauded. But your insolence is not. Accept my judgment in these matters and stand in silence, or let the other gods be witnesses to hurt and degradation closer to home. Is that understood?
You overbearing tyrant!
No, really. Please.
Ah, Athene. You're his daughter. You tell him.
I say, let's all calm down, yes? And no more bickering over mere mortals. Carry on like this, and there'll be threats, sulking, vengeance. Shouldn't we leave all that to humankind and rise above it? Let's enjoy these tasty appetizers while they're fresh. Don't push him too far. He'll thrash you or pick you up by the foot and sling you from Olympus. So, let's drink. Everyone lift up your cups and raise a glass to Almighty Zeus. Almighty Zeus.
Agamemnon, listen. Listen, Agamemnon.
Odysseus. Odysseus!
Agamemnon, it's very early.
It's time.
The cooks haven't even lit the fires.
Not breakfast. War.
This is very sudden.
The divine voice came to me in a dream.
Not a fever. The air was queasy last night, heavy in the lungs.
Almighty Zeus acknowledges us. I saw him, standing before me, the light cascading from his robes, a physical form.
Go on.
Troy, with its high walls and broad streets, is ready to fall. He said, Agamemnon, offspring of clever Atreus the horse trainer, assemble your long-haired Greeks on the shore and prepare for battle. Fetch me my tunic.
Why now? After 10 years, did he say?
You're asking me, did I cross-examine the Supreme Being?
What were his reasons?
He listened to the pleas of his wife Hera, and so did every god on Olympus. And now they speak with one voice.
It's decided, then.
We will ride the wave of fate. And my cloak, please. This might be over by the setting sun.
The men of Greece back in their homelands in a week.
Boats low in the water with treasure and reward.
Victory's smile smeared all over their faces. Helen carried high in the leading boat. Your brother's wife returned to her own palace and kingdom, back in her own bed.
Tell every commander to assemble his captains. Every captain to convene his officers and lieutenants. Spread the word. Right down to the last spear carrier and cabin boy and pot washer. We'll go at them with everything we've got.
One last decisive push.
It's true. I haven't always been Zeus's favorite. Look how he made me bicker with Achilles over the girl. I admit I raised my voice, then we both lost out, but it's of no consequence now. My silver sword, please, and the scepter which empowers me. Hold it with care.
You should address the men. Once you're ready.
But he favors me now. The dream was indisputable. No doubting it was meant for my ears. Or that it came directly from his lips. Men of Greece! The wind is behind us. The weather is with us. And so are the gods! But first, a calculation. Roughly speaking, our numbers are equal on either side, and today we must fight, man for man. But what a ragtag outfit of half-breeds and strays they are. Outcasts and misfits from every tin-pot country this side of the Aegean. There's no heart there. And where there's no heart, there's no hope.
That's good. More like that.
Men of Greece, make your spears keen, your shields solid, your horses strong, the wagons sturdy and fast. By the time night comes, those blades will be blunted, shields dinted and dulled. The muzzles of your mares and stallions will be white with foam. Your own arms and hands will be numb with the weight of weapons, and the shock of metal clashing with metal echoing into the bone. But Zeus has spoken. Let Troy reel and shake when the might of Greece comes hammering at its gates. Let our victory begin! A sacrifice to the Almighty, the Father of the skies. Almighty Zeus, we thank you, and we beseech you, hear our prayers.
Zeus, Athene, look down at the earth. The glint of a fire. The unmistakable odor of singed hair and roasting flesh. The distant murmur of supplication. It can only be for your eyes, Zeus, your nose, your ears.
Busy, thank you. Not to be disturbed.
Athene, how can you sit there stitching while the Greeks march to their death?
Patience, Hera.
He acts as if we don't know. Thetis flutters her eyelashes at him, so he inflames Agamemnon's mind with a destructive dream, sends him wandering into a death trap.
Keep your voice down.
He won't hear. He's too busy being deaf, ignoring the prayers and pleas of the Greeks. How do I know it's a plot? Did you ever know Zeus turn his back on a compliment before?
He's watching. Admire my embroidery for a moment.
I haven't nursed and watched over the Greek army for 10 years just to see them sent to slaughter, just so Achilles can gloat at their downfall. What kind of turncoat is he?
Hera, sometimes the scales can be tipped, not by adding more weight to one side, but by taking from the other.
Of course. I told you that. But what does it mean?
We can't stop the Greeks now. They're swarming like bees. And I agree. Agamemnon's men are weakened by disease and discomfort. No match for a well-fed army fighting on home soil from behind an impregnable wall. But what if the whole war came down to a straight fight between two men? Between a proven warrior on one side, on our side,
Menelaus?
and on the other side, let's say, a more sensitive soul.
Why would anyone take such a risk?
Men can wake with strange ideas in their head after a dream.
You embroider beautifully, grey-eyed Athene. You work such fine threads.
I am Paris of Troy, son of King Priam. I am one man, and I challenge one man. Let the whole war be settled by duel, single combat. Send out your best Greek. Let him meet this Trojan face to face. No.
Am I seeing things?
Hector, let me in. I lost my courage.
Get back out there, Paris.
I don't have the nerve.
I say get back out there before the other men see you dithering and wilting.
Give me a moment.
Paris! My brother. The gods give to women with your pretty face and silver tongue. Maybe you are a woman.
A duel was my idea, wasn't it, Hector? That took courage. I didn't see you striding to the front or raising your arm.
No one was more surprised than me and proud when I heard those words coming from your mouth.
One moment I was dozing. The next I was throwing down the gauntlet to the whole Greek army. The next I was sleepwalking into certain death.
I should have known you'd come scampering back like a mouse.
Menelaus stood there in front of me.
Such a great swordsman, they say. But only in the bedchamber. You were so brave when it came to stealing Menelaus' wife, the lovely Helen, dragging her over the sea. Now half of Greece is camped on our doorstep baying for blood, and you know what troubles me most.
What troubles you most, Hector?
That our own Trojans must be soft in the heart or soft in the head. Because if they had any resolve, they'd have stoned you to death a long time ago for the shitstorm you brought down on them.
Do you hear me denying it?
Your handsome face and clear skin and golden locks won't look so attractive when they're trampled in the ground, along with every other man in this city.
I know what I am in your eyes. How I compare.
Give me the weapons. I'll take your place.
But you shouldn't fight this duel.
I shouldn't.
Let the chance of glory fall to another man.
Noble and valiant. Spoken like a Trojan and a true brother. I'll be with you in spirit, Paris. Every throw of the spear, every slash of the sword.
No, you misunderstand me.
There's no misunderstanding, either on my part or yours. The Greeks and the Trojans can watch from the trees and the balconies. To the winner, all the gold they can carry and Helen's hand. Then both sides must swear a pact of friendship and peace, and the Greeks can return to their country of horses and tall grass, and we can open the gates of our walled city whenever we like without fearing the warrior's spear or the assassin's knife.
But I can't win this fight. It's as good as a surrender. A sacrifice.
History loves the man who takes his place at the appointed hour. Trojans! Greeks! If you hear me, lay down your arms! The man who made enemies of our two great nations will meet your own champion on the flat meadow of the river Scamander. And let the outcome of their fight be the outcome of this war. Then let this 10-year feud be over. Trojans, do you hear my command? Men of Greece, do I have your word?
Hector, tell our father.
I've always believed I'll die before you. Still believe it. You have a charmed life. What are you waiting for?
Look down at the earth, Hera. King Priam stands at the battlements ready to watch his son Paris die a bloody death.
Ah, poor Priam. One spectator among thousands. Look at them all. An hour ago, 2 armies were ready to collide and to go on slaughtering until the last man alive raised his fist in victory. Now the whole valley's an amphitheatre, and there the audience, leaning on their weapons, shouting and jeering. Suddenly it's a game. A game of our making.
A game of my making?
A game we can't lose.
And who's that at his side?
The beautiful Helen. This should be interesting. Let's listen closely.
Come forward to the parapet, Helen. No need to stand in the shadows. You're out of range. Out of view. They say you were born from an egg. But your father was a swan, hence the whiteness, the pale skin. I don't blame you for this, even if others do.
You've always shown courtesy, King Priam.
You're our guest.
They have a new song about me. Your people.
We have songs about everyone. We're a song-singing nation.
Helen of Greece, Helen of Troy. Married a man, then married a boy. The boy took her home, the man chased after, all the way from stony Sparta.
It has certain merits, a catchy rhythm.
Oh, is it the eyes and is it the lips? Or is it the thighs and is it the hips that launched 1,000 angry ships and fired 1,000,000 fiery darts that pierced 100,000 hearts and left 100,000 dead and dyed the blue Aegean red? From Troy to Sparta, all the way over the wind-blown water.
Helen of joy, Helen of slaughter.
I hadn't heard that last line.
The local poets have never been able to resist a convenient rhyme, no matter how crude.
Priam, how will this end?
The gods will decide. Or would that now be considered an old-fashioned thought?
Non-believers never seem to fare any better.
Are you following today's developments? You're a foreigner here. Can you read the situation?
I recognize that lone figure.
Of course. My loving son. Your loving husband.
I am Paris's wife, only under Trojan law.
And the other man standing. Fearless-looking, armed to the teeth. The one who walks out to do battle with my son. Do you recognize him?
I do.
A name?
Menelaus.
Your husband. I know. So your husband will slay your husband, then you'll be carried off in your husband's arms. Tell me, who else but the immortals could have plotted that? You have the looks of a goddess. In weaker moments I see you as my son does. But a curse to us all the same. The life of all my people might bleed away into the sand because of this face. Have someone bring me the news. I don't trust these old eyes.
Priam, my father.
Hector. Lethal Hector. If only you had raised your fist at the best of the Greeks today, then we might still have a city to call our own. And you would still have a brother. And I would still have Paris as a son.
You grieve too early.
Victorious?
Not the word most people are using. Try escaped or disappeared. Try vanished into thin air.
Into nowhere?
Into a sudden mist. They fought. Menelaus overwhelmed him, knocked him to the ground, but his sword shattered on Paris's shield, so he dragged him by his chin straps, Paris's eyes popping out like 2 white eggs. But just when it looked as if he might rip his head off, an unworldly mist thicker than smoke rose up. And when it cleared, Menelaus was standing there with Paris's bronze helmet in his hand, but Paris nowhere to be seen.
Mist? In this season? At this time of day? Only the hand of an immortal could conjure up such a cloud. The pendulum swings. The gods are on our side.
Paris stole Helen and they wanted vengeance. Then he cheats them out of a fair fight, and now they want justice as well, don't you see? If the Greeks had lost heart, the gods have now given them all the resolve they need.
Hector, my son, an hour ago we were dead and buried. Now we're alive. That's my reading of this. Act on it, I say.
The fighters are bewildered, even embarrassed.
Start with the women. Keep them busy. Don't give them a chance to tempt the men into their empty arms. Have them meet at the temple of Athene and make a sacrifice to her. Then bring the army to their battle stations and let the true conflict begin.
You reload my heart with courage, father.
Your heart beats with my blood. My pride and my love for you are the same thing. Let's drink a glass of sweet wine together. Wine is the great comforter of the exhausted man.
I'm no longer exhausted, I'm revived. And I'll need a clear head and a keen eye to drive a spear through Agamemnon's throat.
My true son.
So before the tide turns...
Before the gods change their minds. Go.
Helen? Join the other women at the temple of Athene. Helen, answer me. Helen?
This room is private. What gives you the right?
It's Trojan soil. I'm Hector, the king's son. Make the connection.
What happened to courtesy?
War. That's what happened, or isn't that a good enough reason to drag a woman from her beauty sleep? Go to the temple now.
To be what? The Trojan wife praying for the death of the Greeks? Or a Greek slut praying for the destruction of Troy?
That's a question only you can answer.
I've asked it every day for 10 years.
You're the woman Paris chose. And Paris is a brother the gods have saddled me with, and for as long as that's the case, I'll do my duty by you and my duty by him wherever he trembles and hides. So go to the temple, it's the safest place.
Admirable qualities. Enough to make him blush.
Blood rushing to Paris's cool cheeks, wouldn't that spoil his looks?
Perhaps it would. Pull back those bed sheets and see for yourself.
Before you explode...
So this is where you crawl to?
A goddess led me here. I couldn't resist.
You sicken me, Paris. Men are teetering at the grave's edge because of your roving eye, and instead of standing shoulder to shoulder on the front line, you lie here, in this nest of perfume between this woman's legs.
Your taunts and your jibes are well aimed. Do you hear me arguing back? But leave Helen out of it. Just now she was urging me to return to the fight.
Let him say what he wants. I know what I am. Someday Paris will pay for all the chaos he's caused. I'm certain of it.
Pure Greek, loyal to no one.
I respect you, Hector, and somewhere deep down I believe that you respect me too.
That would be a very deep place indeed, somewhere on the ocean floor.
But you dishonour yourself today, storming in here to demean your brother and humiliate me. Putting righteousness before responsibility.
What nonsense is this?
The Greeks will be battering at the gates any moment. But what of your own wife, Hector? Where is she? And your baby son?
Andromache. She's safe with the other women.
Not if I know her. She'll be looking for you, Hector. But where are you? You're here instead. Because it is easier to bark out abuse at others than it is to comfort your own.
What do you know about family?
Look at the pair of you. 2 brothers, one a lover, one a warrior. Both deserters.
Hector.
Andromache. It's not safe here.
Look at yourself. A man possessed, gripped by death. What pity have you for your faithful wife? By tomorrow, your bereaved widow.
You know me, Andromache. My place is the front line.
Go! Rally your men by the Hill of Thorns. Give your orders, your stirring war cries and historic words. But not your life, because that would kill me, Hector. It would kill me. And you have no right.
If I shrink from this battle, how could I ever look another Trojan in the eye? Or show my face to the Trojan women in their long flowing skirts? I see it coming. The fall of this city, the death of my people, Troy, a slag heap of ash and bone. But it's the thought of you being dragged off by some savage Greek that pains me the most.
No, you'll be spared that sight. Lying dead in battle. And what of your infant son? Hiding behind his mother's skirt, terrified by that battle helmet that covers your face. Will you pity him?
Astyanax, look, it's me. It's me, your father.
Daddy! My daddy!
Go to the temple with the other women.
Please, Hector!
Go to the temple! Trojans! Forward!
Odysseus? Tell me. Quickly. Quickly!
Heavy losses. Hundreds slaughtered.
But with some progress, I suppose. What's our position in the field?
No progress. Backwards.
Have they breached the ditch? We did excavate a ditch, didn't we, as I instructed?
The ditch holds, but not for much longer. Another day and the Trojans will be pouring across it.
You're not exaggerating, Odysseus. For effect, storyteller that you are.
Yes, Agamemnon, I've embroidered here and there, but only to pretty things up. Believe me, the truth is uglier in every detail.
But it's quiet out there. Even the thunder of Zeus has stopped.
An overnight truce to cremate the dead. On our side, at least. Those fires across the plain are probably Trojan feasts. They roast cattle and sheep and offer up thanks to the gods, while we put a torch to our friends.
We have till sunlight. Gather the men. As calmly and as quietly as you can. Tell them to board the ships while we still have them. By dawn, we'll be halfway home.
What are you saying?
The gods have decided. Turn their backs on us. Proud as I am, I won't send half the men of Greece to the land of the dead for a lost cause. Let them see their wives again and their own shores. I'm no fool. I'm no monster.
So a coward, then?
What? I forgive that remark. Your intentions are loyal, but you won't bait me.
Then go, but sail on your own. I haven't waded this deep into death and battle just to creep away in the darkness. We came here to conquer Troy. It's still there, on the hill. Nothing's changed.
Everything's changed. Use your eyes. Use that brilliant mind of yours.
It doesn't take a brilliant mind to work out a plan of action, just an open mind to hear one.
Well, I'm listening. I'm all ears.
It's Achilles.
No. No! That's not a plan! That's just the name of some pig-brained oaf, who, in case you hadn't noticed, is sulking like a spoiled brat in his tent over there. The mood he's in, he's more likely to fight for Priam than for me, so don't call that a plan. It's a suicide pact.
It's our best and only hope. I know it, you know it, and so does every man on this beach.
He's an ignorant knucklebrain. He's inhuman.
Inhuman indeed. Not one of us.
That's pure speculation. What proof is there?
Have you seen him fight? Have you ever seen him injured, or even so much as scratched? They say, as a child, he was fed with lions' gizzards and the marrow bone of bears.
He'll eat anything. He's from the north.
Spears bounce off him. I'm no slouch with a sword, but I wouldn't want to fight him, not even with one arm tied behind his back and a sack over his head, would you?
He's flashy, an exhibitionist.
He's a killing machine. That's why we brought him here.
Oh, yes, and with a tender heel, they say, where his mother held him when she dipped her darling little boy in the river's Styx. Who ever heard of a hero with a susceptible heel? Not to mention a tender heart. Him and that drooling cousin of his, Patroclus.
A whole army.
Zeus alone knows what goes on in that tent of theirs at night.
A one-man genocide.
What do you think it would take? Exactly.
Well, what exactly have you got?
I won't say sorry. Not to his face.
Look at Agamemnon, bending like corn in the wind, this way, that way. I know he's your favourite hero, but when will he start acting like a king? Never, I suppose, as long as we go rushing to his side.
But so handsome. Well, in his younger years.
Greek men are better looking than Trojans. It's a fact of life.
You find his strength in the end. It's just a question of lending encouragement and support until the right time.
Ensuring a fair fight.
That's how I see it.
Did you ever lie down with him?
Excuse me? I'm Hera, the wife of Zeus, and you're Athene, his daughter.
Did you wear a disguise? That's how the other gods do it. As an owl or a wood nymph.
It's frowned on. Immortals and mortals mixing freely. It leads to complications and rogue stock. Freaks, even. Look at Achilles.
You have all the right answers, Hera.
And you ask all the wrong questions, Athene.
Shall we go? Assist the good-looking lions against the hideous warthogs.
Oh, that's an easy one. The answer's yes!
The answer is no. Indefatigably, incontrovertibly, and indisputably no. Am I heard?
Yes, my father, almighty Zeus.
Am I heard?
As far as the edge of Asia, I shouldn't wonder, and all the way to the icy poles.
There will be no more interfering on either side. I held up the scales of war and the balance tipped in favour of Troy. That is the judgment of fate.
Thetis touched your hand and stroked your ego. That's when the balance tipped.
You push me too far, Hera. All of you. Don't dare to contradict my word. Let the battle for Troy run its course. The more we leave alone, the sooner it'll be over. It's dragged on long enough. Now, I have business on Mount Ida. Fetch me my gold cloak and gold whip, and saddle me my 2 horses with the flowing gold manes and hooves of bronze. And return my armour to the armoury. Then find another project to occupy your thoughts. Plant diamonds in the rocks. Invent some new flowers. Bake a cake. But stay out of Troy!
Achilles? Patroclus? Am I disturbing anything?
Come in, Odysseus. You look tired and filthy.
War's a filthy business.
That depends who you fight with. Grubbiness tends to rub off.
It's a peace offering I've come with.
Of course. Why else would you be here? The local wine is putrid, the worst I've ever liberated.
Lord Agamemnon seeks to repair relations. To that end, here's what he promises. 7 tripods not blemished by fire. 10 talents of pure gold. 20 shining cauldrons. 12 purebred horses, race winners, sure-footed, famed for their speed. 7 women from Lesbos, skilled in arts and handicrafts, the most giving and seductive.
And Briseis?
Bring in the girl. Yes, Briseis, who he wrongly took from you, with a pledge that he never once went to her bed or called her to his. All this he makes available now, without condition. And, for my part, let me say this. If not for Agamemnon, then for the Greek troops who worship you like a god. Kill Hector. Fill their eyes with glory. Become immortal.
Achilles?
My answer is no.
That's a very hasty response.
No to the man who can't tell cowards from lion hearts. No to the man who sits on his purple throne while men lay down their lives. No to the man who expects every civilian of Greece to follow him over the edge of the cliff. And no to the thief who calls himself a king. Well, I won my prize and he took it from me. Brazenly robbed me of a woman I cared for. Robbed me, no one else. Well, he can keep her, do what he wants with her until his bed breaks or his fat heart bursts. Don't goad me with Hector. Is that how crudely you bait the trap? I don't need to slay Hector to prove my point. Only to pave the road to Agamemnon's victory, so Agamemnon the Magnificent can ride his chariots all the way into the treasure houses of Troy and load his coffers full with rubies and amethysts and leopard's claws. No, that's my answer. Give it to him full in the face. Tomorrow I sail west. See yourself out, noble Odysseus. I'm going to offer prayers to Zeus for a safe passage. You should do the same.
Is this who you are, Patroclus? Achilles' cleaner? What else do you do for him?
Whatever I do willingly.
The famous armor. Not a mark on it. Some say it has magical properties.
And some say it's the man who wears it.
Is this why you came to Troy? To polish metal? So shiny you can see a face in it. Look, the face of a brass rubber, the face of a servant.
All I see now are your sticky fingerprints.
Tarnished. Like your reputation when you get home. You think you're going to be able to buff that up with a bit of spit and a soft cloth?
I'll sleep at night.
I doubt it. You wouldn't dare.
Is that a threat?
You haven't thought this through at all, have you? You're clueless.
Enlighten me.
If the Greeks triumph at Troy...
Impossible.
If we triumph without Achilles, he'll be forgotten. A non-entity. The greatest war in our nation's history, and he sat it out, brooding in his tent.
There'll be no triumph.
The world's most famous warrior... and he fluffed his lines.
Without him, they're doomed.
And what does it look like, that doom? Death in battle for some, but for 2 cowards who deserted the cause. How will that feel, back in a country of orphans and widows?
He's made up his mind. He wants a quiet life.
There'll be no peace with 100,000 corpses moaning in his ears, hiding behind his eyes. Patroclus, he's stronger than you, but he's younger, a hothead. Besides, you promised his father you'd watch over him. And you promised your own father the same.
Achilles is a grown man.
With the brain of a juvenile. This is the stuff of schoolboys. He's backed himself into a corner, and he's no idea how to get out of it. He needs the one person he trusts and believes to step in and sort it out. But that person is too busy polishing. Polishing. Blinded by the light.
Achilles is Achilles. If he says he won't do something, it's written in iron. He won't.
Then do it for him. Take his place.
What? That's meaningless. What an empty thing to say. How would I take his place?
Ride into battle, flying his colours.
Insane.
One lap of the field and everyone wins. The Greeks will think it's him, and they'll surge forward filled with spirit. Achilles won't have eaten his words. And you'll have honoured your bond with your father, with his father, with your country, with your countrymen, and with your soul.
Madness. Lunacy.
Genius.
It'll never work. Not in a million years.
It's our only chance. And yours, too.
But who's going to be fooled? We don't look anything like each other.
But you will do. In this famous helmet. Here. Try it on. And wearing this famous breastplate over your heart. See how it fits. Carrying this famous shield on your arm. Wielding this famous sword. You're a warrior, Patroclus. Not a houseboy. Now tell me that doesn't feel right.
Agamemnon was played by David Birrell, Achilles, Jake Fairbrother, Zeus, Richard Bremer, Odysseus, Colin Tierney, Hera, Gillian Bevan, and Andromache, Claire Calbraith. Hector was Simon Harrison, Helen, Lily Cole, Paris, Tom Stewart, Priam, Gary Cooper, Patroclus, Brendan O'Hay, and Athene, Francesca Zutuele. Original music was by Alex Baranowski. The Last Days of Troy was written by Simon Armitage and originally directed for the Royal Exchange Theatre by Nick Bagnall and directed for radio by Susan Roberts.